In a small, forgotten village, nestled between rolling hills and wide, whispering fields, lived two sisters whose destinies could not have been more different. The sun rose and set on their tiny, crumbling house with its thatched roof and rickety wooden door, the only home they had ever known. From the very beginning, life dealt them cards as different as night and day, though they grew up side by side, eating from the same bowl, sleeping on the same straw mat, and dreaming under the same starry sky. Miriam, the elder, had eyes as clear as a morning stream, always looking for ways to help her struggling mother. She woke up with the dawn, sweeping the dusty floor, fetching water from the faraway stream, and helping to cook what little food they had. Her hands were always busy, her heart always kind. Every chore she took on, she did with a grace that seemed to light up the small, dark corners of their home. Aisha, the younger, was different. She had a sharp tongue and a love for shiny things. While Miriam toiled under the sun, Aisha would sit under the shade, dreaming of a life where gold bangles jingled on her wrist and fine clothes wrapped around her. She lied easily, sometimes just to see if she could, and her stories grew taller than the coconut trees lining their village. The villagers often whispered about the two sisters, how one had the eyes of an angel and the other, perhaps, the wings of a crow. Miriam dreamed of becoming a teacher one day. She wanted to lift herself and her family from the depth of poverty through knowledge and hard work. Every evening, she sat by the flickering flame of a kerosene lamp, reading borrowed books, the words lighting her eyes with hope. Aisha, on the other hand, dreamed of riches. She admired the women from the nearby town who wore bright lipstick and walked with an air of importance. She believed in shortcuts, in tales of princes and fortunes that fell from the sky. To her, hard work was for fools. She spent her days chasing mirage, always believing her luck would change with the next sunrise. One fateful afternoon, an opportunity knocked on their door. A woman from a nearby town came, looking for a house help. The pay was meager, but it was an opportunity. Miriam saw this as a stepping stone, Aisha saw it as beneath her. "I'd rather die than serve," Aisha scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. "Only fools do others' bidding. You see, Miriam. I'll have everything without lifting a finger." Miriam took the job. She left home early and returned late, her hands roughened by work but her heart still gentle. She was patient, kind, and slowly, her diligence was noticed. Her employer, a kind woman, took her under her wing, teaching her not just about chores, but about life. Meanwhile, Aisha, in her quest for an easier life, fell into the company of those who promised her quick fortunes. She started selling trinkets by the roadside, hoping to catch the eye of wealthy passers-by. Her beauty caught attention, but not the kind she had hoped for. As time passed, Aisha's choices led her down darker paths. She found herself selling not just trinkets but her dreams, her dignity, and her soul. The riches she dreamed of were replaced by broken promises and hollow laughter. The village began to whisper again, but this time, the whispers carried a tone of sorrow. Miriam's hard work paid off. She learned fast, saved every coin she could, and enrolled in night classes. The road was long and hard, but every step felt like a promise. One day, her employer, impressed by Miriam's dedication, offered to sponsor her education fully. It was a miracle, but one Miriam had earned through sweat and tears. Aisha watched from the shadows, her heart a tangled mess of envy and regret. But still, she clung to her pride, refusing to admit her mistakes. Miriam excelled in her studies, graduated with honors, and became a teacher, just as she had always dreamed. She returned to her village, not with arrogance but with a heart full of love and hope. She opened a small school, teaching the village children and offering them the same hope she once held in her heart. As Miriam's life blossomed, she met a kind, hardworking man who admired her strength and vision. They married in a simple, beautiful ceremony, surrounded by the very people who had once whispered their doubts. They raised children who mirrored their mother's wisdom and their father's kindness. Aisha, by this time, had lost everything she never truly had. The men who once flocked to her had moved on. The riches she sought had turned to dust. She watched Miriam's life from a distance, feeling every happiness her sister had as a stain in her own heart. Yet, the thought of returning home, of admitting her faults, felt like swallowing broken glass. One day, weary and broken, Aisha found herself at the doorstep of their old house. It was Miriam who opened the door, her eyes softening at the sight of her sister. Without a word, she pulled Aisha inside, offering her warmth and forgiveness in equal measure. The road to redemption would be long, but Miriam's hand was always there, steady and true. With Miriam's help, Aisha began to rebuild her life, learning the value of honest work and the peace it brings. It wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of her choices felt too heavy to bear, but Miriam's love and forgiveness were constant, a light in her darkest moments. Years later, under the shade of the mango tree in the village square, Miriam and Aisha told their story to a group of wide-eyed children. They spoke of dreams and choices, of the paths we take and the lives we build. Hard work and honesty may not bring riches overnight, Miriam would say, her eyes bright with truth, but they build a life that's rich beyond measure. And dreams, Aisha would add, her voice now gentle and wise, are only worth chasing if you are willing to work for them. Be like Miriam, my children. Be like Miriam. The story of two sisters, a tale of choices and chances, became the heartbeat of the village, a reminder that every path has its end, and every heart its journey.